Hello, this is a presentation of absolute zero. So, what is absolute zero? Exactly.
Absolute zero is the lowest temperature possible.
It is a temperature marked by zero entropy configuration.
A temperature that cannot be reached by artificial or natural means.
It occurs at 0 degrees Kelvin.
Or negative 273.15 degrees Celsius.
Or negative 459.67 degrees Fahrenheit.
It is a point where there is no molecular activity.
It is also the point where a perfect gas vanishes.
Where no more heat can be removed from a system.
The absolute cold. Absolute cold.
Temperature is a measure of how hot and cold something is,
depending on how fast its atoms and molecules move.
At absolute zero, these movements are at the slowest they can possibly be.
But motion does not stop, despite the classical kinetic theory that states when there is absolute zero, there should be no motion.
absolute zero is incredibly important to science, especially the science of chemistry.
It's especially important to theoretical considerations.
According to the third law of thermodynamics, entropy,
Which Mr. Puryear taught us was the state of disorder.
of a pure crystal is zero at absolute zero.
In quantum physics.
Oh my gosh, that run was so treacherous. I need some Sunny D. Ew, that's disgusting. I wish that was so much colder.
Scientist Robert
How
Boyle,
cold I could make it.
natural philosopher, physicist, inventor, and the father of modern chemistry, did many things like come up with what we've learned as Boyle's law, as well as what you're learning now about absolute zero. Although he is not the founder of absolute zero, Boyle first explored the idea of an absolute cold. He studied the expansion of water when frozen and how salt intensifies cold. Boyle also disproved Aristotle's theory of cold primum frigidum.
I choose you.
In 1779, scientist Joseph Lambert finally proposed a definition for absolute zero: the dependence of the pressure of a gas on its temperature. Using the data showed here, he based the definition on the straight line relationship between the temperature and pressure of a gas, defining absolute zero as where the pressure of a gas becomes zero when a plot of pressure versus temperature for a gas is extrapolated. Lambert is most well known for theorizing the temperature for absolute zero to be negative 270 degrees Celsius, very close to the modern point of negative 273.15 degrees Celsius.
After this,
Lavoisier, Laplace, go!
But since the calculations for absolute zero were not absolutely universally accepted, scientists challenged the theory. Scientists like Pierre-Simon Laplace and Antoine Lavoisier challenged Lambert's hypothesis. They said that the absolute cold must be from 1500 to 3000 degrees below the freezing point of water, and in any case, at least 600 below, not negative 270. With the help of scientist John Dalton, negative 3000 degrees Celsius became the new temperature for absolute zero. In 1848, however, Lord Kelvin used his own scale of absolute temperature to derive that absolute zero can be reached at a temperature of negative 273.15 degrees Celsius. This Kelvin scale was based solely on the fundamental laws of thermodynamics, placing zero at negative 273.15 degree Celsius. Each card here's number represents a different number in the temperature for absolute zero discovered by Kelvin. And it's negative by the look you can see on his face. In 1994, researchers at the National Institute of Science achieved a then-record cold temperature of 700 K, billionths of a Kelvin. In November 2000, nuclear spin temperatures below 100 pK were recorded for an experiment at the Helsinki University of Technology. And in 2003, MIT researchers eclipsed this with a new record of 0.45 Nk. But finally, the coldest place outside of a laboratory was found at the Boomerang Nebula in February 2003, negative 272.15 Celsius.
Is there an opposite to absolute zero? Well, in 2007, Peter Tyson wrote a book called Absolute Pot. Is there an opposite to absolute zero?
Many people studied absolute zero, including Albert Einstein. He had to study the specific heats, and he made a model detailing the drop in specific heats.
Scientists use a different scale to measure temperatures directly related to the speed of atoms. This is known as the absolute scale.
Scientists also use Gibbs' free energy equation to help them measure absolute zero. It states that the spontaneity equals the entropy minus the temperature times enthalpy.
The Big Bang that created the universe left enough heat to keep the temperature of the universe always above 3 degrees Kelvin. Well, this finding is the strongest evidence that scientists use to prove the Big Bang actually did happen.
Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the Absolute Zero show. Bye.
Ta-ta!
I'm afraid explosive is the only answer. It is the opinion of the entire staff that Dexter is criminally insane.